I'm not
Now,
a lawyer.
you'd make a very good lawyer? Okay. Now,
Oh, well, thanks.
can you use induction to get to logically necessary universal statements?
No.
Okay, good. So then you can't appeal to induction. So do you know that there are universal invariant laws of thought by pure reason?
I believe yes.
How? You're not omniscient.
Right. But omniscient
Yeah,
just means I don't know everything. It doesn't mean I
no,
know does it?
sir? Okay, well, okay. You know what? My head's about to explode like JFK right now
Oh, sorry.
because you've now just gotten a bachelor degree from Dunning-Kruger University.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Now you're giving me a statement of universality, but you're not omniscient. So how could you know it by pure reason? You might believe it, but how would
Because
you know that it's true? How do you know that there cannot be any contradictory states of affairs? How do you know that?
through reason, as you're saying.
See, that's another non-answer. Just like earlier when I asked you a question, I said, "How do you know that?" You go by logic, and I say, "How do you know?" "Oh, by reason." What's the reason?
That there can't be contradictory states of affairs.
Yeah.
Because
What's the reason?
That's the basis of what definition is.
No, sir. How do you know that that's true, sir? So in other words, are the laws of logic then conventional?
Well,
Are they mere human conventions?
that's actually something I'm kind of like trying to work out.
Or are they
right
mere
now.
human conventions? Okay,
They
you know what?
might be, but
Have a nice day. Okay, this guy is just a walking, talking, dodge, spewing machine. That's all he does: dodge, 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 dodge.
Darth, you know how there's atheists who will say when you give a definition of God, they'll say you're trying to define God into existence. That guy was trying to define God out of existence by definition.
Of course he was. That's right. That's a very astute point, Annie Oakley. You did it again. He's defining God because he's defining how minds are.
Does it surprise you he's in the Tom Unboxes server?
Why I'm not surprised at all.
Hey, you said something that made me laugh, Darth. You go, "You're a cordial bickerer."
That's what he is. He was very cordial, but he's just bickering. That's all he's doing. Okay?
I
That's
missed
simple.
the last like 5 minutes of it. I was away. Did you make any
No,
progress?
it's the same bickering shtick. I mean, you know how many times I'd ask him a question and he'd like, yeah, but, and then he just goes on to a semi-related rabbit trail. But he knows there's no God. He's the smartest guy on the planet.
I don't know if you caught it, but in the middle of that, I said a Joe Biden line. I'm like, "Think about what you'd think about." That was literally that guy.
Yeah, he wants to tell us that what the composition of God's mind would be or could be if God did exist, without God revealing what his mind is compositionally. I mean, does anybody see how asinine this is?
There we go.
Demos, mute your mic.
Well, I wanted to talk to you, Darth.
Oh, well, then go ahead. All I heard was static on your mic.
Oh, are we good now?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, great. So, Darth.
How do you say your name?
You're a Christian. Just call me Nitty. Everyone calls me Nitty.
All right, go ahead, sir.
All right. So, Darth, you consider yourself a Christian in general, right?
Yeah, is there a point here, sir?
Yeah, there is. So, when you consider yourself a Christian, I'm actually curious as to how much you've thought about whether or not Christianity is the result of theological development. What do you think about that idea?
No, there is the revelation of Christianity, which is the revelation of God in the Bible, but there is theological development where very smart people ruminate on what God has revealed and draw forth certain reasonable extrapolations above and beyond what God has revealed. But to say that Christianity is simply and only just a theological development would be, as far as I'm concerned, a false representation of the origin of Christianity. Christianity is revelational. Is there theological development as a byproduct of what God has revealed about himself in the scriptures? Yes.
So would you say things like the hypostatic union, the incarnation, the virgin birth, those are theological developments or divine revelations, or both?
The virgin birth is a divine revelation.
Okay.
The hypostatic union is how shall we put this? These terms are just simply clarifications or amplifications of what God has already revealed. Okay. Okay. For example, you won't find the word Trinity in the New Testament. You're not going to find the hypostatic union, but contained within the various passages, when we surmise these passages and cross-reference them, we can draw logically necessary conclusions from these stipulations, of which the Trinity and the hypostatic union is.
Right. Yeah, and when I was a Christian, I wouldn't disagree with that. So I completely understand that.
What are you now? What are you now?
I'm an atheist.
Okay, why?
Because I don't have sufficient personal reasons to believe in God, and I see at minimum that Christianity appears to be more of a theological development of the ancient Near East.
Do you have personal sufficient reasons to believe that the not God world is true?
Yes.
What are they?
I've personally prayed for specific validations of God's case for the resurrection and testimony of Jesus Christ to be true. I have looked at the objections to Christian belief and found them sufficient to not believe it.
That's a non sequitur for
why
affirming the not God world, and it's also a non sequitur for the not Christian world. Both of those are non sequiturs.
How so?
It wouldn't follow, according to what you said, that the Christian God doesn't exist. It's just that you don't accept the validation that God has providentially secured to begin with, that you want something in addition to what he has given. So it's a non sequitur because of what your wish list wasn't fulfilled. Therefore,
no.
Okay. Yeah, sir. Look, what I'm saying to you is not disputable. This is beyond dispute. Okay. What you are doing is you're giving what we call the absence of evidence is evidence of absence in certain cases, but that your evidence is not necessary, but it is what's the word, parakeet? What do I use? I use it. It's
preferential.
Preferential. You're giving us a preferential wish list, and that preferential wish list isn't fulfilled. Therefore, either God or the Christian God. Now, what we're talking about right now, per se, is your atheism. So God does not exist because
I don't have sufficient reasons to believe in him.
Right. Then I'm asking you, what are your sufficient reasons to believe that the not God world is true? Because I want the excuse. Do you follow that rule when you apply it to the not God world?
Wait, can you say that again? I'm serious right now that you lagged out for me. So can you repeat that?
I said that you're saying that you want to have personal sufficient reasons to believe in the God world.
Right.
I just want to see if that's an arbitrary cliche so that you can dismiss God, but that you don't actually follow that rule. Do you follow that rule when it comes to the not God world?
What was the rule that you said?
You said you needed personal sufficient reasons to believe in God.
Right. Okay.
Now, do you have personal sufficient reasons to believe that the not God world is true?
Yes.
What are they?
That I have not experienced what I would constitute
you're repeating yourself. You said this.
Okay, so
you said this already.
you don't reject. So you reject my own reason.
You are
giving you?
You are putting you're putting
So
down preference.
what you're saying. So what you're saying is that
do you think
it's up to my personal preferences to attribute to a God world. You're not listening to me. Can you let me finish a thought? Are you being a big baby? Do I need to get the diapers out from my toddler's room to put on you?
No, do you understand do you understand the point I'm making? You've now turned what you've now turned into is a bickering.
You are a big baby that won't listen to someone explaining what they're trying to say.
I am listening to you, but you're big.
I'm gonna get your fucking diapers out so that you can put them on and strap them up and piss in your toddler potty,
right?
So that you can deal. You can kick me from this. I don't care. Now at this point, because you won't listen to what I'm actually saying.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah, sure.
Are you a homo?
You know what? I will rub my nipples and pinch my.
See, I know it. No wonder.
Pinch my hairs.
No wonder you started getting into that kind of filth. Is that what you do with your boyfriends? All right, we're
Homo
done.
spotted.
Now we know his personal
Yep.
Homo eliminated.
There we go.
He's talking about all sorts of
reasons.
diapers and all that kind of garbage. Okay. Now, so now we know the truth. This is why he doesn't believe in God. Okay.
This is the way Darth.
No, it's not Daddy Smoke. No, it's not him.
Sounded close. You got to admit.
Yeah, it did. But you see, the thing is, he did. But that's why I went because that's all he was doing. This is what they do. Can't we find even one intelligent atheist?
The problem isn't that you weren't listening to what he said, Darth. It's that you were listening too close. So that's why you knew there were non sequiturs.
I'm kind of wondering: is there any such thing as what you're looking for? Is there any such thing as an intelligent atheist?
I'm personally placing bets in Las Vegas that we will find the flying spaghetti monster first before we find intelligent atheists. Okay. No, this is what they do. They just bicker. They bicker. And then when you point out the flaws in what they're saying, how shall we put this? It's like they stick their pinkies in their ears going la 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 la. I mean, it's just these people are bizarre. Here we got the guy before that, telling us that Simeon, that he can't know what God would be compositionally unless God revealed what he was compositionally, but then he can know what God is compositionally. I mean, it doesn't get any richer than that.
But he looked at all the reasons, so that's his reason.
He didn't have personal sufficient reasons, but what are his personal sufficient reasons to believe he's in a not God world? He never answered that because want to know why? It's an arbitrary standard. It's an empty cliche that they say, well, God just hasn't revealed himself. Okay, well, can you defend that?
People oftentimes use the word reason not to mean a rational justification. So his reason could be non-rational, and it could be because he's a homosexual, so he doesn't want God to exist.
Well, when he was starting to be obscene like that, I'm thinking maybe he's really talking about what he does in private. So anyway.
So the search for intraterrestrial atheist intelligence continues?
Interterrestrial intelligent atheism.
Well, I think.
Intra. Yep, I got it. Oh my gosh, all we get are these bickerers, We did have two people that I complimented, I think, yesterday. but that was about it. Too much.
So Darth, I recently finished a 40-day water-only fast.
You didn't eat for 40 days?
That is correct.
And why did you do that?
Well, I had a lot of weight to lose, for one thing.
Yeah, that's not healthy to do that. You know that?
I wouldn't do it this way again.
Look, no.
How much weight
Don't
did you
please.
lose? How many pounds did you drop?
Hello?
I'm here.
His hearing's gone from
Do you
the starvation.
do you know that you can actually have severe health conditions if you lose too much weight too fast? That's can be give you serious health problems.
Yeah, the
Especially
main,
with
the
the
main thing-
pancreas.
I
on
mean,
my
I'm
radar
sorry.
is-
I kind of call BS. Like 40 days. I don't know. I don't. You know.
What he's doing is he's trying to use this as an analogy with Jesus. Okay.
the world record is over 365 days in a row, although that was on a multivitamin, and I think he had 0-calorie drinks too.
I don't believe that.
Oh, that was in Guinness World Record. The guy's name was Angus. He was a Scottishman. Anyone can look that up right now.
And was he significantly overweight?
Yes, he was. He ended up
Okay.
at 185, and he kept the weight off.
Well, then he had all that body fat to live on. Even that's dangerous doing that. It's extremely dangerous.
Well, in February, I was over 300.
Okay. Well, do me a favor for your own health's sake, okay? That's not that you won't die from it, but it can trigger some very serious health problems.
Yeah, I'm in particular aware of refeeding syndrome, which is perhaps the most dangerous thing. Is actually when you start eating again, you have to watch out to eat something.
Oh, that's too. Here's what you should try, okay? They've done studies and they found that most calories are burned not by exercising, but by daily activities, okay? So unless you exercise to the extreme, which would then burn significant calories, most people don't. You know, going to the gym even once a day and working out for an hour is not going to produce a significant weight loss. It's calories in, calories out. Okay. So you want to make sure that you, over the long term, on a day-by-day basis, that you are
Yeah, there's an expression, Gizmo. Abs are made in the kitchen, meaning it's what you're eating.
That is anorexia, and you're going to make your body crave and binge at that
another
point.
thing. What you can do is what you want to do is
Everyone's talking about food.
is to, if you're going to eat, you
Yeah, I like the
Away from sugar and carbs, and you'll be fine.
Just eat celery.
yeah,
No,
don't listen. Here's a big almost always not a good thing for you health-wise.
Yeah.
Doing it over a period of time, okay? 6 months, 12 months, that's what you want to work at, 18 months. That's doing it quickly it's very unsafe.
Sugar and the carbs and the starches, rather, stick with like proteins and fats. Your body will drop the weight. I promise.
You can shoot out your pancreas doing that because your body needs a certain amount of operating sugars.
You have to have sugars. There are sugars in everything.
Also,
But-
here's something that you can
Not in
do
water.
is do
Yeah.
what they call periodic fasting. Okay.
Oh, okay, you can try whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just think that's crazy going 40 days without food. That's not smart at all.
Unless it's a meditation exercise, yeah, that's not smart at all.
Yeah, as far as sugars, citrus fruits are good for that, as well as vitamins. Too many bananas will make you fat.
So, all right. So what did you used to weigh?
I was 329 at the peak.
Okay. How tall are you?
I just can't talk about
5'8".
I didn't hear you.
5'8".
Okay, 329. What are you now?
I stopped at 212 or something. I have it in a log, but it was about 213, 212.
That's a lot of weight. Yeah, I would do it slowly over a period of time. It's vastly more safe. And when you do it slowly over time, you're less prone to gaining the weight back. Okay.
I'm not sure those studies apply to extended fasters. I think they have a higher incidence of keeping.
Look, there are people out there who've had their stomachs gutted, okay, and they have a rapid weight loss, but over the long run, they're not changing their eating habits, and they gain the weight back even though they've had their stomach surgically altered. Okay, the point is, if you want to get weight off and keep it off, it has to be over a long period of time. You can't. I'm just telling you, if you're trying to get the weight off because you're concerned about your health, you're now bringing in a new, very serious health problem that you can have from weight loss too fast. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I lost.
You said you only took water, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know that can be dangerous for your heart.
Yeah, I know the potassium chloride and sodium chloride and other things are important.
Yeah. You can have a heart attack if you don't take that stuff in.
I was watching out for arrhythmias.
No, sir. They're going to bury you next to Karen Carpenter.
And Jim Fix, too.
Just do it over a long period of time. Don't do it over a short period of time because it's dangerous.
Well, from February to October, I did it sort of a normal way.
Yeah, and sometimes people play on the highway and they don't get run over.
I felt I needed to do this once.
Look, I'm not trying to give you a hard time. I think that it's commendable if you lost all that weight. I'm just saying you're just putting yourself at risk if you keep on doing stuff like that.
Now, you weren't entirely wrong that I was gonna do some odd grandstanding about Jesus. I mean, I did weird things. Like, I wouldn't tell people I was fasting, except when some people were like, wait, what are you doing? I've noticed that you've lost all this weight. I told like that person, because he was trying to lose weight too. I started having to spray oil on the top of my head in a spray bottle because it would get on my shirt and stuff if I poured it on my head. And I was mixing my own perfumes, actually, with sweet orange.
We're done. Okay. That was a waste of time.
Is someone listening to like Yankee Doodle Dandy or something, or am I just losing my mind?
No, that might be. There's a video game in the background.
Or it sounds like someone's listening to Hogan's Heroes.
Yeah, I have that on the TV.
Oh, you did? So I'm not losing my mind. Okay.
No, that was Hogan's Heroes. Now it's the Carol Burnett Show.
You're watching Me TV. Okay.
Hogan.
Hey,
Memorable entertainment. That's Me TV. Then, of course, you got Perry Masons that come on late. Those are nice.
Yeah, Perry Mason was in the closet. But you'll notice the pattern of behavior when I deal with these unbelievers, how they're either rude or obnoxious, or if they're cordial, they're evasive, they dodge, they rabbit trail, they bicker, they recapitulate stuff that's already been refuted without a counter rebuttal. You know. They think if they keep on flapping their lips and their mouth that they're being substantive. Like I'll say, how did you figure that out? Logic. Okay, how'd you do that? Reason. All right, what's that? Isn't it funny that somebody can figure out what God is compositionally without God revealing what he is compositionally? Isn't that amazing that we have a human being that can do that?
I don't think it's unfair per se because
He's
the
a
word
big
mind
thinker, Darth.
is
Big thinker.
particularly a human, like
Mark, you sound like you're in stall number 4 in the McDonald's bathroom.
Oh, I am. No, okay, 1 second.
I like when Clink gets all shy and he goes, "Oh, General Hochstetter."
Werner Klemperer was great. All right, we're waiting for you, sir.
Yeah, sorry, my phone's like 1980s. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I sympathize with that because from their perspective, when you use the word mind, they're just going to think of like a rabbit, a dog, a turtle, right? So, I mean, I think maybe that would be why he would insist on it needing to have. And you did a good thing. You actually brought it to concrete versus abstract, because then it points out that he doesn't actually have a basis for the objection, since we just don't, like, you couldn't reason to that level. But yeah, I mean, I think
we could talk about God being complex in terms of abstractions. And when people hear this, you have to make sure when we say abstraction, we're not saying fiction, right? But if he's going to tell us what God can or cannot be compositionally in terms of concreteness, how could you know any of that whatsoever unless God revealed it? See, on the one hand, he wants to admit that he couldn't know of God's existence at all unless God revealed it, but he could know what God is compositionally without God revealing it. I mean, you see the problem there? You see the arrogance? I can't know that God is without God revealing it, but I can know what he is compositionally beyond a basic minimal definition.
But do you think it's a fair question for him to ask what kind of brain? Like, let's say a Boltzmann brain?
No, we weren't talking about a brain. We said a mind.
Or sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
like the Boltzmann brain / mind.
Yeah, these are some of the worst people to talk to, because this is just a figment of their imagination, you know. Like, for example, Richard Dawkins did the same thing. He says, well, if complexity needs a designer, then who designed the complex mind of the designer? I mean, this is the same stupidity that we get. Okay, we're not talking about concrete complexity, the complexity. Okay, or concrete complexity compositionally. And by the way, even if God was complex compositionally, which I'm not advocating that he is, I don't hold to divine simplicity, although I'm still somewhat undecided on that issue at the moment, but I lean against away from divine simplicity. This idea that he can tell us what God is compositionally or what he can't be compositionally is a bit ridiculous. You know, short of God revealing what he is. I mean, how can I know anything at all about God unless God reveals it?
Well, I mean, like, there's arguments like, trying to reason to God, like Platonism, kind of like there's those kinds of arguments.
That's ridiculous. Now, it's one thing if we're trying to build on and reason outward from the things that God has already revealed about himself, right? and we find which of those ideas are most commensurate with what God has revealed. But this idea that he can sit there and tell us what God is or is not compositionally without God in some way revealing that is it's just utter human arrogance.
They want to milk this to the utters fall out.
Yeah, and then when you give a rebuttal to it, they just ignore the rebuttal, and then they're a dog chasing its tail. They just keep, wash, rinse, and repeat. Wash, rinse, and repeat.
Yeah, I just think it's a fair intuition when you use the word mind that they would have these kind of questions, but obviously it's not one-to-one with a human mind.
No.
I like back into the left.
Back into the left. Back into the left.
And when I say milk it to the utters fall out, picture that episode of Three Stooges when they're in that fake cow and they drop the 5-gallon milk jug.
I love that cartoon.
You got to come up. You got to get me some more lines from the JFK movie. Back into the left.
Well, his position wasn't one of having unanswered questions. His position was God doesn't exist.
I mean, he said he didn't believe, or he said this argument made him believe against it, right? So he referred to complexity as, obviously this maybe stupid, but again, I think it's a fair intuition if you're thinking of a mind.
And these people want to accuse us of making up God as we go along, and that's all they do is they just make up the crap that comes out of their mouth.
Have you ever seen those cartoon or comic drawings of the guy sitting on a branch and he's cutting the branch while he's sitting up in the tree?
Exactly. Calling all atheists. Do we have any intelligent atheists?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
With regards to some of the jargon you use. So like local atheists versus global atheists. Is local atheists just those that don't believe in the Christian God? Or how does it work?
No, global atheist is typically classical atheism where there are no gods. Where local atheism is just, they reject a particular God that might happen to be presented to them. But unfortunately, the local atheist will turn out to be a global atheist unless they affirm belief in at least one God. But a lot of global atheists, which is standard atheism, will bait and switch and pretend to be a local atheist, that they're not really denying all gods. This is what P.Z. Myers did when I questioned him in the AMA. I said, how is it that there is no God? He go, I'm not saying there couldn't be a guiding intelligence. I'm just saying that the false gods that have been presented so far are false. So he was baiting and switching.
Gotcha. So you would be considered a local atheist if, say, what are your thoughts on Juju on the Mountain or something?
Well, I don't really care for the term local atheist, but I use it because it's a part of the vernacular within the field of philosophy dealing with it. It's a term just like where they talk about positive or negative atheism or strong or weak atheism. I'll use it at times for the sake of communicating, but I don't think that it's advantageous to use it at length.
Mm-hmm.
But because sometimes it does communicate certain things clearly in the shorthand, I don't think that. Look, if I don't believe in Allah, but I happen to believe in the God of the Bible, which is true, under that terminology, you could say I'm a local atheist. Okay.
Gotcha.
But to say that I'm an atheist is like it's problematic because atheism means the denial of gods. So
Mhm.
is atheism just the denial of a god or a plurality of gods, or is it the denial of all gods? Because then how is it that I'm a local atheist when I'm a theist? That's
Right.
problematic. So on the one hand, I'm not going to be a stickler or dogmatic against using the term because I think that it does have some clarity to it. Okay. But I'm not big on it. But I use it when
Right.
I'm dealing with somebody who is a global atheist, but they don't want to admit it, and then they pretend they're a local atheist when they're not really.
Would this be like people that say, "Oh, I'm spiritual, but not religious," or
Whatever that means.
whatever the
Yeah,
hell that
yeah.
means? Right.
Yeah, and just
Gotcha.
say, did you just get that off of a New Age greeting card?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I like the distinction, though. I get it, but yeah, I get it. I get it. It just
Can I
feels.
send you a
I
greeting
see.
card with Bible verses on it?
Yeah, I see that there is a little bit of utility in using the distinction global atheist versus local atheist, but I just think in the long run it's problematic.
Right. I'd agree to that.
So it's not that I'm opposed to using it, but I just don't think that it has widespread utility. Okay, it does have some utility, but not widespread.
Right.
You know,
So it's
the local atheist, it comes from the idea that the reason why I don't like it is because we have atheists go, well, after all, we're all atheists. We just believe in one more or less God than you do, and say, no, we're not atheists. Okay, we believe in at least one God. So we're not an atheist.
right.
But philosophers have come up with this, this nomenclature and vocabulary. So I'm willing to concede that it has some limited utility. Like, I don't believe that agnostics are truly suspending judgment. And so I think that it's just simply a closet form of atheism. But it does have some utility in terms of nomenclature that it's representing somebody who claims to suspend judgment, even though I believe that they can't suspend judgment.
Okay. Gotcha.
So I'll accept the term agnostic as being useful in the same way that I can accept the term local atheist is useful, even though I reject the claim of agnosticism as being valid. It's a claim, but it's not a valid claim.
Okay, I get that. Sure.
But there's these other distinctions that atheists make that are just ridiculous, like I'm an agnostic atheist. I mean, it makes me want to throw up when I hear this stupidity.
Didn't Leo Filius try this tactic?
Well, he'll give you a migraine. He's
the structure, gentlemen, the structure of the quantum field.
Yeah, the structure of the quantum field shows there's no God. And yet, in another audio interview blog, he said it's impossible for naturalism to be grounded. But when I debated with him, he said naturalism could be grounded.
Right, he was the 17-year-old college professor. Okay, yeah, I remember.
Well, let's be personally fair. He has a PhD from Dunning-Kruger University.
I'm pretty sure T Jump gave him a fake it till you make it diploma too.
Well, Leo Filius has a master's degree in fake it till you make it.
I'd love to see him and T Jump just debate each other and just fake it till you make it the whole time. Have you ever watched some of T Jump's debates with other atheists where they're just like completely?
Oh, it's painful.
He rolls his eyes. It's hilarious.
Who's the biggest bullshitter? It's like just a competition to see.
And he's shameless about it.
Hey, Darth.
Yeah.
Can I get your opinion on something real quick?
No.
Okay, bye.
Darth,
Hurry up before I hit the sack. Come on.
Darth always loves to share his opinion, if you know what I mean.
Okay, well,
There goes that.
do you
There
believe,
goes that hurtful man below.
well, do you believe that Jehovah's Witnesses are in the Christian category? I mean, I'm not entirely sure how to.
No,
Okay,
they're
thank you.
Arians. They deny the doctrine of the Trinity. They deny salvation by grace through faith. They think the Watchtower is a prophet of God.
They think Saint Michael
Okay, thank you.
is Jesus, among others. Hey, Darth, what is your position on the doctrine of hell?
I hold that it's literal. It's real.
Okay, gotcha.
That's pretty much it from me, by the way.
Right. And your stance on purgatory, I assume that you are not a fan of it.
I think it's just Roman Catholic claptrap developed over centuries of where they've added more and more false teachings to scriptures. There's no purgatory in the New Testament.
Mm-hmm. I mean, is there a hell in the Old Testament?
Well, the Old Testament is clear about Sheol. It's the abode of the dead, and it's also clear that God is going to judge. It's hinted at, but it's not crystal clear as it is in the New Testament. It's much more clear. But when Jesus preached this, it was clear to his viewers. That's why. Do you remember when Jesus said that God is not the God of the dead, but of the living? He said, "I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob."
Mm-hmm.
So he was referring to the continued self-consciousness of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Right. So throughout the entire Old Testament, we talk about God being just and righteous. The idea that there would be, let's say, continued conscious existence without adjudication it's just nonsensical. Gotcha. Now, like I said, in the Old Testament, is the doctrine of hell clear like it is in the New Testament? Well, no. Mm-hmm. But you can strongly infer it.
Right.
This is why when Jesus taught about hell, you didn't get a lot of people, objecting to it, because you can clearly infer it from the character and nature of God. If there's going to be conscious self-existence in after death, and God's a righteous God, then He's going to adjudicate all evil.
Right. There was a video I saw from a like ex-Protestant. He was visiting Jerusalem to go to Gehenna. Isn't that where they had like blood sacrifice of children a long while ago? And he claims that
Gehenna, I think, was a location within Israel where they used to burn a lot of garbage, and that it would just continue to burn, and it was used as a metaphor for hell.
Mm-hmm.
I could be mistaken about that, but I think that's correct. That it was used as a colloquial reference referring to literal hell. I think maybe it was the Valley of Gehenna, and I think it's up where they burn garbage.
Right. I thought it was blood sacrifices, but I don't know. I had to look into it. Valley of Gehenna. Let's see.
Darth, do you hold to, or do you have any beliefs about the pseudepigrapha?
You mean the writings that popped up in the 2nd, 3rd century?
Yes. Before Christ.
They're just spurious writings, just trying to copycat. But when you compare the internal composition content, it bears no resemblance to the New Testament writings.
Why do you think that?
Well, because when you peruse through their content, like for example, if you read through the Gospel of Thomas, it doesn't even compare to the content of the Gospels.
Oh, okay. Maybe I have my terms mixed up. Okay, actually, wait, no, that's correct. I thought that pseudepigrapha was sometimes accepted. Are these just
No,
things
no,
that
no. These are spurious writings that were allegedly written, by some of the apostles, and they started popping up in the 2nd and the 3rd century.
Okay, well, so like the prayer of Manassas.
I'm not familiar with that. I'm not familiar with that one.
Okay.
But you have to understand, by the end of the 1st century and going into the 2nd century, they certainly knew that these new writings didn't have a provenance. The apostles were all dead already. Why didn't they come up? The earliest of church fathers didn't really quote from these things. Okay, if they really were written by the apostles, why weren't they ever quoted from?
I see. Yeah, I looked at a list here with some different ones, and yeah, so like one of them that's I guess the most interesting would have to be for Ezra. I'm not sure why for Ezra is listed here though, because it shouldn't be pseudepigrapha. I didn't think. Thought that would be a part, or that would be Deuterocanon. Yeah, so like for Ezra is one of the listed as a pseudepigrapha, but that's actually going to be a deuterocanonical book. So like, would you hold that 3rd and 4th Ezra are deuterocanon? Like, would they be on par? Like a little bit less than?
There's a difference between the deuterocanonical books and the pseudepigrapha. I don't know if I mean pronouncing that correctly. I always botch pronunciations. The deuterocanonical books were just simply the books that the Catholic Church adopted in order to be able to quote from and defend against the Protestant Reformation. That's why they did it. I mean, it's a dead giveaway. The deuterocanonical books. They weren't recognized part of the canon in the early church.
Well, I mean, interestingly enough, if you look back at Textus Receptus Bibles, you will see, like, let's say, first or second, and third. Yeah.
Well, that's because they were considered, worthy of reading for historical sake, but not as authoritative scripture.
Right. It's not good for dogma, is my understanding.
What about how the Catholics, when you go to church in a Catholic church, they'll have you kneel on that stand and sing songs?
Well, it's a sad state of affairs, but you have to understand these people are not born again. They don't have the Spirit of God with them, and so they're committed to their autonomous reasoning. And one of the aspects of autonomous reasoning is the desire, if not the compulsion, or an affinity toward a works gospel, that your performance will in one way or another help facilitate or tip the scales of what will happen to you when you die.
And of course, you got those mothers that will nudge their kids like with an elbow, say, sing along with the songs.
I mean, I don't have an emotional axe to grind against the Catholic Church. I was raised Catholic. I never had any bad experiences. It's only when I read the Bible for myself, it was crystal. It couldn't have been more clear. what we were dealing with. And it's just painfully